Trying to think. Would that make sense? Yeah. What is up, guys? My name is John with unobtainable.com, your definitive source for gun reviews, gear guides, and revolvers that fall over. This is going to be a real quick one, but lately we have been playing around with Heritage Arms' 16-inch 22 LR Rough Rider revolver, and honestly, it's kind of fun, even if it's that really specific type of, wow, this thing is really dumb kind of fun. The gun is based on Colt's mythical line of Bluntline revolvers, which came in a variety of different barrel lengths, some of them with skeletal stock attachments, that took Colt's famous single-action army revolver and turned it into something of a mid-range carbine. Famously presented to Wyatt Earp's band of lawmen in the late 1800s, if you believe the lore, the Colt Bluntline is an incredibly rare piece of history that can fetch as much as $500,000 on the antique circuit when they do pop up. Which brings us back around to the Heritage Arms clone. If you've ever wanted to get your hands on a comically oversized revolver with some real specific vintage Western charm about it, this is probably your best bet. The gun is super simple, as you might expect. You've got a safety lever on the back left side of the cylinder that flips up and down to lock both the trigger and hammer, a 6-shot cylinder that rotates with each cock of the hammer, or spins freely if you've got the hammer in between its two full rest positions in order to facilitate loading and unloading, a spring-loaded rod to eject spent casings from the cylinder, and a minimalist set of fixed notches in terms of sights. It also weighs in at a pretty damn hefty 3 pounds, and all of that weight is obviously going to be up in the front because of this chungus-ass barrel you got going on here. So, unfortunately, you're not really going to be able to do revolver ocelot tricks with it, but that didn't stop me from trying. Performance-wise, it's not bad, although I'm not really sure what exactly you'd be looking for in terms of performance out of a $160 comedy LARP revolver. But it was able to occasionally ring 100-yard steel with it from a standing position, and you know what? I'll call that a win. I will say it does feel pretty odd to try and fire this as one normally would with a revolver, considering that barrel length, but unfortunately my natural inclinations to want to C-clamp it only wound up with the cylinder spewing hot gas onto my forearm, so don't do that. The trigger is about what you would expect from a single-action revolver, so no complaints there. While the gun is an accurate replica of the original Bluntline, being that it is a 6-shot revolver, in all honesty, reloading and unloading 6 shots of 22 LR manually each time you go to fire it gets a bit old pretty quickly. 22 just doesn't really do it for me. You do also have the ability to swap the stock 22 LR cylinder out for a 22 HMR cylinder, and maybe that's it. That's what was missing. I just need that extra bit of pizzazz that 22 HMR brings to the table. I'm sure this is gonna trigger boomers in the comment section who are gonna claim that I'm too spoiled by modern guns or whatever, but in my opinion, the novelty of going through the hassle of reloads for the diminishing returns that 22 LR brings me are just kinda meh. But I also realize that I'm probably in the minority of folks who don't find plinking with 22 super thrilling to begin with, and your mileage may vary if that doesn't sound like you. All in all, the Heritage Arms 16-inch Rough Rider is a pretty fun gag gun, and I can see it being pretty entertaining to pass around for a few shots if you're the type that likes to bring a lot of wacky stuff to the range when you go out and shoot with your friends. But unless you are among the most dedicated caballero cosplayer that needs a really specific, unobtainable piece of Colt history, you might be better off looking for your cheap thrills elsewhere. Alright guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel as we've got lots more on the way. Once again, my name is John with Pew Pew Tactical, and we will see you next time.